Hey, so are you thinking about building a new construction home? I mean, just think about it. Shiny, brand new wood-like plank flooring throughout, pristine rooms, brand new appliances, no wear and tear at all. Sounds like a dream, right? But here's the catch. Buying new construction isn't always the fairy tale that it might seem. Behind that shiny new coat of paint lies some pitfalls that could really take your dream and turn it into a bit of a nightmare. Now, in today's video, I'm going to share with you 5 surprising drawbacks to buying new construction that just might make you rethink that decision. And if you still think you want to move forward with new construction, then stick around because I'm going to give you 4 of my insider tips that will help reduce stress, save you time, and save you money. Now, the last tip is probably the most important one of all. So let's go ahead and dive in and get started. You know, that advertised price of the home, well, honestly, that's just the beginning. Builders might try to draw you in with that lower price, but that price only covers the bare essentials. Yeah, that home that they're advertising will come with flooring and the appliances, and, you know, it's a complete home, but it's at the bare base minimum levels. And if you want upgrades like upgraded flooring and cabinets, upgraded kitchen countertops, and other upgrades throughout the house, well, those things, they do come with a bit of a price tag. So here's a real life example. I had some clients not long ago who spent more than 25% of the base price of their home, that's $125,000 in this case, on their upgrades. They upgraded the flooring, they got that big 12-foot sliding glass door, but they really didn't go over the top on much of anything. Things just added up fast. But I don't know, maybe that $5,000 front door, that could have been a bit much. Now, most buyers are spending about 12 to maybe 18% of the base price of the home, so that's kind of a good range to keep in mind. And remember that model home you toured? Well, that thing, it was upgraded to the max, right? They do that for a couple of reasons. One is they want to show you everything that's possible that they can do, but also they want to show you just all these great things because they want you to get that little sense of fear of missing out, or FOMO. And so you've got the base price of the home, then you add in all of your upgrades, but that's not all. Don't forget about lot premiums. So any lot that's better in any kind of way than just your standard mid-block square lot, it's going to come with some type of a premium attached to it. If the lot's a little bit bigger, if it's got a better view, if it's on a cul-de-sac, all these things, it's going to come with a premium. So you got to add that into the price of the home as well. And when all those 3 are added together, that's where you come up with your total purchase price. But wait, there's more. There's a little thing called closing costs. And those are all of the little fees that add up that you have to pay in order to actually put the deal together and close on the home. Now, in a resale situation, these closing costs are typically split pretty evenly between the buyer and the seller. Not the case when it comes to new construction homes. And with new construction, the seller, which is the builder, they never pay any closing costs. Per the contract, all closing costs actually fall onto you, the buyer. But there is some good news. In today's environment, builders actually are offering some incredible incentives, which almost always include money to be used towards your closing costs. But that incentive, it's not going to last forever. So here's a pro tip for you. Always make sure that you get a realistic estimate of your closing costs and your other expenses up front so that when it comes to closing, you're not faced with any surprises. You know, at first glance, property taxes on a new build might seem surprisingly low. Why is that? Well, because the taxes are assessed on the raw land only. There's no house on the property yet for them to assess the taxes for. But once that house is finished and then the county comes through and reassesses the property, those property taxes can double, or in some cases maybe even triple. But don't fret just yet, because during the escrow process, as the title company is doing all the various paperwork, they come up with a pretty accurate estimate of what your taxes are going to be. And so having that estimate there in front of you and figured into your payment already will help avoid the sticker shock, if you will, of having the next year's property tax bill come due and it's 3 times what it was in your first year. With the demand for housing skyrocketing like it is, builders are often rushed to get the homes completed. And in that rush, often they can find themselves compromising quality. Builders rely on subcontractors to get the work done. These guys back here building these houses, they're not an employee of this particular builder. They're employees of the subcontractor, the framing company or the AC company or whatever component they're working on at any given time. But the problem with that is the subcontractor pool is not very deep and wide, and those guys are often working on very tight schedules with very limited budgets. Now this can lead to issues like poorly hung drywall, misaligned windows, or even some structural issues such as maybe cracked foundations. Now keep in mind that the builders do conduct their own inspections at various stages of the build process, but these aren't always thorough enough. And the city or county inspections, they're only looking at specific items, so they may not catch everything either. So then what's the answer? Well, you hire an independent home inspector during the build process. Yeah, it might cost you a little bit of money, $450 to $500 or so, but that inspector can catch issues during that inspection that might otherwise go unnoticed. So I always encourage my buyers to have a home inspection done at the frame walk stage. Now the frame walk is where you meet with a construction manager. All the framing is done, but the drywall hasn't gone up yet. So you can see all the components that will eventually be behind the wall, because once the drywall goes up, you'll have no idea what's back there. So the home inspection takes place, and all of the findings that the inspector comes up with, you can then turn over to the construction manager, and they will add that to their punch list that they already have of things to do, and all those things will be taken care of. And I know the home does come with a 1-year bumper-to-bumper warranty, and that's great, but sometimes getting those repairs scheduled can be really time-consuming. It's hard to get everybody scheduled to mesh together, and you might have long wait times. So it's best to find those issues right up front before they grow into much larger issues. Now let's touch a little bit on HOAs. Any new construction community is going to have an HOA, and in fact, any community developed probably over the last 30 years or so will most likely have an HOA. Now they can be great in keeping the neighborhood tidy and keeping your property values up, but they can also sometimes come with some very restrictive rules that you have to follow that might just find a little bit aggravating at times. Are you thinking about extending your driveway? Well, you're going to need HOA approval for that. Maybe you want to add a shade structure to your backyard, or add some additional lighting, or maybe change out your front yard landscaping. Yep, all of that is going to require HOA approval as well. I once worked with a seller in a townhome community, and one of the rules of that HOA was that you could not park a pickup truck in the driveway of your home. If you had a car, that was fine, but if it was a pickup truck, it had to be in the garage or parked down the street at the community parking lot. Now on top of the rules, and the one I just told you about might have been a little bit extreme, but on top of the rules, there are HOA fees as well. And these fees go to maintaining the parks, the pools, the community centers, whatever amenities your community has. And those HOA fees can and do go up over time. Plus, there's even sometimes special assessments that they put on the homeowners because they need to repair the fencing, or they need to replace all the grass someplace. So just keep in mind that there are fees involved with HOAs. So you want to read the HOA rules and regulations carefully before you actually commit. Now the builder will provide you with those documents right up front, but you want to make sure that the rules align with your lifestyle and budget, because even if you never use the community pools and splash pads, you get to pay for them every month. Now your builder is going to give you an estimated completion date, but keep in mind that's just an estimate. Delays are inevitable, whether it's issues with the subcontractors, supply chain issues, weather-related delays, who knows what. That estimated date that they gave you could be pushed back weeks, if not even months. You know, back at the height of COVID, I had one client I was working with. They were given a build time of about 12 to 14 months, but with all the delays of COVID and everything that came along with that, it was actually 22 months before they got to move into their home. And they still had issues with their home after that. Now, things have gotten a lot better. Build times are running more along the lines of 6 to 9 months. So we have gotten a lot better, but just delays, they're always inevitable. And if you're prepared for them, then they won't stress you out quite as much as if you were trying to hold fast and hard to that original estimate that the builder gave you. All right, now before we move on, if you're finding value in this video, give it a like or a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content like this, where I show you new build communities, take you on model home tours, talk about the processes involved in building a home, then consider subscribing to the channel. Click on that little bell. That way you'll be notified every time a new video gets uploaded and you won't miss out on anything. All right, let's get back to what we're talking about. Now, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer on new construction, but I have given you 5 downsides, if you will, to building a new construction home. But if you're still wanting to move forward with that, then let me give you 4 tips to follow that will actually help save you time, stress, and money. Now, we touched on builder incentives a moment ago, but first tip is watch out for those flashy offers that the builder's throwing out there with free closing costs or free upgrades. There's always a catch to these, such as they'll only cover your closing costs if you use their preferred lender, who could have higher rates, or their preferred title company, which might charge steeper fees. And those free upgrades, well, they could be locking you into some very limited options. For example, if the builder's offering a free washer and dryer, well, keep in mind that that washer and dryer is probably going to be the base model of one of the cheaper brands out there on the market. I had some clients recently, they were offered a washer, dryer, and refrigerator, or they could take a cash rebate back to them. And at first, the free appliances sounded like a great idea. But as we looked a little further into it, we found that if they took the money, they could actually buy higher end, higher quality appliances with the rebated money and have money left over to boot. So they went with the rebate rather than the free low-grade appliances. So whenever you see these kinds of incentives, just make sure you dig into that fine print and make sure that you are aware of what the trade-offs are. Now, in all fairness, however, it has been my experience where my buyers have ended up better off by taking the incentives and using the builder's preferred lender over using their own lender, because sometimes the outside lenders just cannot beat those incentives. All right, so now tip number 2 is do your research on your builder. Not all builders are created equal, and a little bit of research up front can actually save you a lot of headaches down the road. So go ahead and check their online reviews, visit some of their other communities, and probably the best thing you can do is talk to some of the neighbors who are already living in the community you're interested in, because they're probably going to give you the real scoop. They'll give you real insights into the builder's reliability, their quality, and how they handle issues after the home is finished. So all I'm saying here is do your due diligence, because it's really worth it. So tip number 3 is get everything in writing. Verbal promises from the salesperson mean absolutely nothing unless they're actually put into the contract. So if they've offered you some sort of incentive or a warranty or a solid commitment to a closing date, make sure that that is actually in the contract. There are some builders who might tell you what you want to hear just so that they can close the deal. But if it's not in writing, they're not obligated to follow through on anything they've said. Be sure to read the contract carefully and ask questions. I've seen some contracts as long as 120 pages, and believe me, the contract is always slanted to highly favor the builder. And this leads me right into the most important tip of all. And if you follow just this one tip, everything we've been talking about for the last few minutes here becomes so much easier. So tip number 4 is make sure you have your own representation. Many buyers think that they don't need to have a realtor when they're purchasing new construction homes. Well, guess what? That nice salesperson in the office there, they work for the builder. Now, they have a responsibility to treat you fairly and to be honest with you, but at the end of the day, their loyalties lie with the person that signs their paychecks, and that's the builder. A buyer's agent, on the other hand, is there to look out for your interest, helping with the contract terms, spotting hidden fees, even suggesting design choices that could boost your resale value for later. And here's the real kicker: most of the time, it's actually the builder who pays your buyer's agent, but only if your agent is with you at your first visit to the model homes. But if you do go without your agent, well, you're most likely going to be on your own. Now, with low inventory numbers of resale homes and high interest rates, buying a new construction home can be really enticing, and it's a great option, but it's not without its challenges. And so if you are considering making a move to Queen Creek or Santan Valley, whether you're coming from just across town or clear across the country, we are your East Valley relocation specialists, and we would absolutely love to help you. We can help you with new construction homes like this. We can help you with resale homes, and we can even help you sell your current home. Now, I do offer free consultations. I'll put my contact information at the end of this video, but to make it easier, there's a link in the description. Just click on that link and you can schedule your own private Zoom call with me. Now, if you're more comfortable texting or emailing, that's fine. The point is, let's just get together and talk. Now, if you want to see a video that's going to help ease your mind and calm your nerves throughout the new build process, that's the video right there to watch. And this video down here, that's a must-see video because it is the absolute best tour of Queen Creek that you're going to find anywhere on YouTube. At least I think so.